Well, this is certainly going to change things up. What's going on, everybody? My name is Blitzwinger, and ladies and gentlemen, the newest patch for Marvel Rivals has officially dropped. 1.95 gigabytes in install size. And what if I told you with it, we got an insane amount of brand new leaks? I'm talking 4 brand spanking new team-ups that are currently not in the game as of right now, but could be coming very, very soon. I'm talking about 5 brand spanking new characters, yes, new heroes. And in addition to all of that, we're also talking how to get a brand new free Squirrel Girl skin. I'll explain how to do that step by step in today's video, and much more. Now, of course, guys, you know the drill. If you guys enjoyed today's video, please scroll on down, smash that thumbs up button. Thank you guys so much for your kindness and your continued support. I really do appreciate you. And without further ado, let's dive on in. So first and foremost, let's begin with the things that are confirmed and are already in the game, and then we'll get to the leaks and all of the rumors. Now, first and foremost, we have some clarification about the brand new Brain Blast emotes. Yes, it is now officially confirmed with the patch actually being live that every single hero in the game has a Brain Blast emote. Because some people were saying, oh, the trailer makes it seem like maybe it's only going to be a select handful of characters. No, every character in the game has a Brain Blast emote and can turn into the kind of bobblehead version of themselves. In addition to that, we also have clarification about how to purchase emotes after redeeming your free one, because for those of you that don't know, yes, by playing 10 matches of the new Brain Blast mode, you will receive a token that allows you to then redeem it in order to unlock 1 free emote. Now, once you have redeemed that free emote of the Brain Blast version of one of your favorite characters, you can then purchase any of the other Brain Blast emotes by spending 400 units. So a nice affordable price if you want to add a handful of these to your collections. Now, all of you PlayStation players will be happy to know that we are getting another free skin. In fact, we already, I guess, technically got it because it is currently available as a bundle in the PlayStation Store. So first and foremost, essentially just hover over your PlayStation Marvel Rivals game screen and it should just pop up on the right hand side. But I have seen some people say, oh, I can't see it, I can't find it, over on Twitter, saying like, I don't see it, how is this possible, why don't I have the free skin or bundle? Well, all you have to do is just simply go into the PlayStation Store itself, type in Marvel Rivals or Rivals, find the game screen, and then just scroll all the way down to the add-ons portion, and right there you will see the brand new bundle that you can add into your collection for absolutely free. And as part of this bundle, you're going to get the Urban Hunter version of Squirrel Girl. In addition to the skin or the costume itself, you're also going to get the MVP screen, the spray, and the nameplate. So essentially you're getting the entire bundle. And then as an extra little bonus, they're also giving you 300 chrono tokens that you could use however you see fit, whether it be to unlock some more units, or if you haven't completed the battle pass yet, just simply get something else unlocked on your battle passes, which is super duper awesome. Now, again, obviously I know not everyone is going to celebrate this, because if you're on Xbox or on PC, you're not getting access to this bundle, which is a bummer. I do kind of wish maybe they were giving bundles on every console, or every platform, I should say. But I assume that this is a paid sort of thing where essentially PlayStation throws a big chunk of change at Marvel Rivals, and as a result of that, they give away these bundles, just like they did for the Venom version of Penny Parker. So really cool, and obviously, selfishly, as a PlayStation player, I'm very excited because, hey, not only do we get the free skin / all of the goodies that come with the bundle, but in addition to that, we also do get some chrono tokens, which is always a welcome sight. Oh, and another thing I did want to clarify, once you go ahead and actually download the bundle, the way that it's going to pop up is that when you relaunch your game for the first time after downloading the bundle, you're going to have this little kind of congratulations screen, and then you'll have the entirety of the bundle redeemable there. Another cool and small change that is being implemented with this new patch is that Mohawk Rock version of Storm is now officially part of the Punk Society, which, I mean, if you look at the skin design and everything, it seems like that was kind of a no-brainer. So I don't know why she wasn't part of the Punk Society to begin with, but it does actually bring the Punk Society now to a grand total of 5 total characters, including Mohawk Rock Storm, including Punk Rage Hulk, the Punk Child version of Magic, the Spider-Punk 2099 skin for Spider-Man, and of course the newest Nut Rocker version of Squirrel Girl. So those are all the official news out of the way. Now let's talk about the leaks and rumors, because the folks over at XOX Leak on Twitter managed to go digging into the new files now that the new patches have been implemented and found some incredibly cool, exciting stuff. Let's begin with the previously mentioned team-ups, or new team-ups that are coming to the game. First, we have the Punisher acting as an anchor character for Black Widow, which is interesting because obviously Punisher is part of a team up right now where Rocket is actually the anchor character, giving him infinite ammo. So interesting to see those two team up. Looking forward to seeing what kind of a team up they will have and what it will actually result in. Then we have Venom acting as an anchor for Jeff. Now there's no clarification on whether or not this would just be Jeff being added into the symbiotic relationship team up that exists already, where essentially he would, I guess, kind of have like an explosion of symbiote blast around him. Jeff has actually been possessed by the symbiote in the comics, so this would be canon, I suppose, but I'm very much looking forward to seeing what kind of a chaotic team up these two will share. Then we have Luna Snow acting as an anchor for Hawkeye, which I think all of us can kind of figure out what this one is going to be. It's probably going to be some type of a freezing arrow, I assume, that Hawkeye will be able to fire away, which I think would be very, very handy. As Hawkeye players, imagine if you also had access to an arrow that could freeze enemies similarly to Luna Snow's freeze ability. That would be extremely useful, being able to freeze a target, making them immobile, and allowing you to then get a clean headshot. Seems pretty dang OP, so we'll see how that one is going to be executed. And finally, we have Rocket acting as an anchor with Penny Parker, aka SPDR or Spider. And this one was going to be very interesting. I wonder again, is this going to be just an extension of infinite ammo? If so, is that going to extend to like the spider mines? How will all that work? Maybe it interacts with the spider nest itself. I think that could be really, really exciting. And speaking of exciting, it doesn't get much more exciting than brand new hero leaks. So let's dive into those, because the folks over at XOX Leak found 5 new characters that have now been implemented and appear as actual files within the game. So let's talk about them. So first and foremost, we have Amaranth. And I know probably some of you guys are scratching your heads going like, who? And don't be surprised. She's a really, really brand spanking new character that literally I think was introduced either maybe last year or maybe 2 years ago, just within the recent period of time. And I gotta say, I don't know too much about her, but I do remember seeing her as part of the Scarlet Witch recent run of comics, where essentially she's kind of like a Scarlet Witch apprentice. So think of a character that will be using also kind of like chaos magic and mystical, that sort of thing. But unlike Scarlet, she will actually be a melee DPS character. So I guess that's kind of a unique twist. Not only do we have details of the name of the character and the class type as well as the range type, but we actually have names for 4 abilities for this one. So we have the Chaos Spike, the Chaos Rain, which seems like maybe would be some type of an AoE attack. Maybe, you know, like you cast a circle and then there's a poisonous Chaos Rain that drops from above, creating damage on anyone that walks through it or is within that area, something like that. Then we have Spell Counter, which sounds really promising, because I wonder if this could be something that could like cancel out abilities for some time. That would be kind of insane. And then we have the Frenzied Deterrence, which seems like it's probably the ultimate for this character. Looking forward to seeing if this one actually gets implemented. I do know one of the common things that I will hear in the comments about all of these revealed characters, with the exception of maybe one of them, is that people are going to say, why are they picking these characters? Why are they working on these characters? This is so freaking random. No one asked for this. But I think that what we've learned with Marvel Rivals is that you're just going to have to accept the fact that there's going to be a mix of characters that are new slash kind of characters that Marvel is trying to make more popular versus also the old school big hitters. So they're going to do a nice mix of giving us characters that are iconic, like a Cyclops or something like that, but then at the same time mixing in some of these characters that are less important, or maybe I guess less popular, like Amaranth, because after all, they've already done it with the original version of the game. Characters like Jeff the Landshark literally could not be named by the average person. If you showed Jeff the Landshark to most people before Marvel Rivals came out, they'd be like, who the heck is that? It's just some sort of like a cute little teddy bear shark. What are we looking at? But now he's actually become a relatively popular character. So I think they're hoping to try to make some of these less popular characters more popular using Marvel Rivals. And at the end of the day, I think the only thing that we really need to focus on when it comes to these new characters is, are they going to play well? Because if they offer really cool gameplay, what does it matter if they choose a less popular character or a more popular character? I think it's going to be cool nevertheless. Speaking of unpopular characters, the trend will continue because next up, we've got Hive. Now, Hive, again, is a relatively new-ish character. He was introduced in Secret Warriors #2 back in 2009. Why do I know that? Because I own that comic book. But he's essentially like this terrifying kind of composite being that is made up of a bunch of parasite monsters, that sort of thing. Is pretty freaking terrifying looking for sure. So I'm excited. I think this one would be a really cool addition to the existing roster. So I don't mind this one being included, especially because we kind of have already the character as a cameo as part of the Hydra base map. So this would go in tandem with the Hydra base that they've already introduced. So that would work well because this character was actually created by Hydra. So I think that would make perfect sense. In addition to that, we have some more details. This will also be a melee range character, so interesting. But obviously, based on the look of the character, you can probably figure out that this is actually going to be a tank. So that's pretty dang cool. We have 3 moves that are leaked, or 3 abilities that are leaked for this one. They are Deadly Parasite, which maybe would be some sort of like an infestation type move, you know, like where you can infest your enemy and it does a little bit of damage over time. That could be kind of neat. Then we have Painful Lashing, which I assume might be kind of like, you know, how Groot can like extend his arms when using his regular attacks. Maybe this is sort of similar to that, but more of a lashing motion instead of like a elongated blast or punch. And then finally, we have the Accelerated Transformation, which sounds pretty dang menacing. This next character, I think people once again are going to say who, but I'm actually not surprised that this one is being included. And I'm of course talking about Hisako Ichiki, aka Armor. Now, this character most recently has been a part of Peach Momoko's Ultimate X-Men series. So I feel like considering how much they've collaborated with Peach Momoko, it would make sense to try to include a character like this. Plus, I'm going to be honest with you guys, as a Marvel fan, you kind of start to notice certain characters that Marvel is trying to make more popular, and Armor is definitely one of them. They add her into like these random trading card sets where you're like, really? This is a character that you chose to include as part of like the core set? Then I believe she's a playable character in Marvel Champions. I've seen her just appear more and more in terms of the merchandise side of things. And so because of that, I feel like that kind of, to a certain extent, confirms that Marvel wants to make this character popular. And I think because of that, it makes sense that they would then push for a character like her to actually be a part of the Marvel Rivals roster. This one is also really cool because it is once again a tank and once again a melee character. And this character, I think from a gameplay perspective, could be really, really neat because the way that this character works is essentially being able to like use psionic energy to generate different types of armor over top of the character, almost act like, I guess, a psionic kind of mech suit, but it's not mechanized because it's made out of psionic energy. But I think this one from a gameplay perspective could be really, really cool. So speaking of which, we do have the leaked abilities for this one, and they are Psionic Armor First Form, Psionic Armor Second Form, and Psionic Armor Third Form. So I assume each one of those forms would maybe grant you a different type of ability. So let's say if one of these armors maybe gives you a melee damage attack, one of them maybe boosts your defensive abilities, and then the third one maybe gives you some sort of a long range attack. I think that would be really neat. I think that would make this character play differently to most of the other characters on the roster, which, like I mentioned before, is one of the things that I am most focused on when it comes to new characters. I want them to all feel unique and different, but I think that this would definitely check that box. And by the way, we also do have a 4th move titled, no, not Psionic Armor 4th Form. This one is actually Mountain Breaking Strike, which maybe is the ultimate ability. Now, this next character, I'm going to be honest with you guys, even I don't know a whole lot about. It's a relatively obscure one. This is Ammy Han, aka the White Fox. From what I could gather, it's a character that is relatively new. It's kind of a spy espionage sort of character, but combined with obviously some mystical powers as well. It's inspired by, I guess, a play on the mythical Kumiho, which is the 9-tailed fox, so kind of redesigned for that. Again, obviously, I understand people are going to say, oh, this is a bit of an obscure character. Why would she be included? Blah, 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 blah. But I think that it's a cool looking design. And if they implement the following abilities well, I think that would make for a cool character. So first and foremost, before we even dive into the abilities themselves, this is actually going to be a support character with, once again, a melee range. So if you've been keeping track, all 4 characters so far are melee range characters, which is kind of interesting. And only one of them was a DPS. So for the people that have been complaining about too many DPS in the game, we'll be happy to know that they're working on a lot of other classes of characters. Now, in terms of abilities, this one is going to have Life Drain, which I assume is probably an offensive ability. So being able to actually like maybe damage your enemies and drain their health and maybe redistribute that to your teammates would be kind of interesting. It's kind of like a lifesteal ability. So at least conceptually sounds kind of cool. Then we have Life Transfer, which again, going back to the point that I just made, I could see those 2 abilities work in tandem, where essentially as you actually life drain your enemies, you're then able to take that life and quickly apply it to your teammates. So the more damage you're doing, then you're able to distribute that HP over to your teammates, which is kind of interesting. Then we have Rapid Hypnosis, which sounds like probably some sort of a stun ability where you're able to maybe put your enemies to sleep. And finally, we have what seems like probably the ultimate ability, titled Fox Shadow Evasion, which, hey, sounds maybe like some sort of like a disappearing ability or something like that. So maybe a way to be able to get away from your enemies. And finally, all of you X-Man fans, you'll be happy to know that Forge is now officially a character in the game that is being worked on. We've got abilities to talk about, we've got the class and range type to talk about, and we already know that Forge definitely exists in this world, because if you've been reading the lore of Marvel Rivals, you'll know that Emma Frost asked Forge to recraft, I guess, a brand new helmet for the Cerebro helmet in order to be able to call all the mutants from everywhere to Krakoa for the Hellfire Gala. So there is actually lore behind this character existing already, which is pretty dang exciting. Now, Forge himself is also going to be a support character, and the way that XOX Leak described it is that the range on this character is going to be a ray. So they didn't actually say that this is going to be a ranged character, but I assume maybe this means like medium range, where you don't actually have the ability to like fire across the map, but as long as an enemy is relatively close, or sorry, as long as a teammate is relatively close to you, you're able to reach them and use your Ray Blast to heal them up. Now, in terms of the actual abilities for Forge, we have the following. We have Structural Analysis. Have no idea what that would mean, but typically speaking, Forge is a character that obviously with his name, he forges things and builds things within the Marvel universe. That's kind of like, he's kind of like the tech geek, but more specifically with hardware side of things within the X-Men team itself. So maybe this allows you to like identify maybe like critical hits or something like that. That could be kind of neat. Then we have the Creative Modification, which sounds like maybe is some type of a boost ability. Like, hey, maybe it increases your damage, or maybe gives you some type of a shield or something like that. So that's interesting. Then we have Spirit Realm Walking, which I think will probably be a defensive ability or an evasion ability that will allow you to like phase out or use the Spirit Realm to be able to get away from harm's way, or maybe offer that ability to one of your teammates. So that is promising. And then we have Limitation Breaking Modification, which is probably the ultimate ability for this one. And again, probably some sort of either a healing boost or an offensive boost, kind of like the old school version of Rocket. So there you guys have it, an absolutely massive update that seems to change things up quite a lot for the future of Marvel Rivals. I did not expect for there to be so much in this patch, but once I saw the 1.92 gig file size, I was like, oh, there's probably going to be some juicy details here, and my good googly moogly, we got some exciting stuff to talk about. Now, once again, I also do want to reiterate, for the people that are like, oh, Blitz, so you don't care that they're not bringing the more iconic characters into this game? No, if you told me to choose, like if it was up to me to choose between the iconic big major characters like Beast, Cyclops, Jean Grey, or characters like Amarath, Hive, and Armor, yes, of course I would choose Beast and Jean Grey and the iconic characters. But I also understand what Marvel is trying to do here, in the sense that they're trying to make some of these newer characters more popular. And when you have a really popular game like Marvel Rivals, that makes it a perfect foundation or a perfect place that you can try to make some of these other characters more popular. Like, they've done a great job of making characters like Luna Snow become more popular, or Jeff the Shark with the Marvel Rivals game. So I think that's exactly what they're trying to do here. And keep in mind, we know that a lot of iconic characters like Colossus, like Cyclops, like Deadpool, or like Jean Grey, are all being worked on as well. Like, those have leaked in the past also, and they are actually more further along in development. So keep in mind, just because we have received this wave of kind of unknown or lesser known characters, it doesn't mean that these are the next 5 characters that we're getting. We actually saw XOX leak say that these are characters, in terms of like their order, are actually further down on the list. So don't panic. I think we're okay, in the sense that I think we're probably going to receive a nice mix of iconic characters, and then maybe every now and again we would kind of sprinkle in one of these lesser known characters. And at the end of the day, if they play well, isn't that all that matters? Like, if they actually are really fun to play as, wouldn't that really matter most to the overall experience of the game? I don't know. Maybe I'm ranting. I probably am at this point, but let me know if you guys agree or disagree in the comment section below. With all that in mind, like I mentioned at the top of the video, smash that thumbs up button. Thank you guys so very much for your kindness. Thank you guys so very much for your continued support. I will hopefully see you guys here on the next one. Have an absolutely fantastic rest of your day. Peace out. See y'all laters, alligators. Bye-bye, everybody.